You are watching New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I'm your host, Marshall Green. We are getting closer and closer to 29,000 subs here on the channel. We're about 100 subscribers away. So help us get to our goal of 29,000 subs before training camp opens up. We're going to continue to put out videos every single day on the latest Giants news and rumors. So if you love Big Blue and you're looking for daily content, hit that big red sub button. Let's start today's show, and we're going to only talk about Daniell Hunter, the very, very good pass rusher for the Minnesota Vikings, because according to reports, teams are calling the Vikings about a potential Daniell Hunter trade. He wants a new contract. Doesn't sound like the Minnesota Vikings and him are close on terms at all. And now, maybe he could be traded. This is what Ian Rapoport of NFL Network had to say. He said the Vikings and Hunter have not been able to strike a long-term deal to compensate him at a level he wants. When there are rumors that a player is not getting the contract he wants, usually teams call. My understanding is that the interest is pretty serious for Daniell Hunter. And of course, if a deal's not going to be able to get done, the Vikings are going to try to move on from him and get something back in return. And Brad Speilberg of PFF also is reporting and saying, even with some injury concerns, there should be a long list of teams interested in Daniell Hunter. With a major extension a necessity, smart team would agree to it as a condition of the trade. He listed the Giants, Broncos, Texans, Bears, Panthers, Falcons, and Saints as trade destinations for the very successful pass rusher. And without a new deal in place, a new team would only owe him $5.5 million for the 2023 NFL season. So before all the Giants salary cap nerds out there get their panties in a wad, the Giants can absolutely afford $5.5 million in cap space. On this show, we have talked relentlessly about how the Giants can create cap space. But like Speilberg said, a trade likely would equal a new deal for Hunter. If the Giants were to trade for Daniell Hunter, he would be getting a new contract. But in a new contract, the new money always doesn't have to come right now. It can come next season, which would actually be better for the New York Giants. The Giants will once again have a lot of cap space coming into next season. Obviously, they just paid Dexter Lawrence, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Andrew Thomas, and Xavier McKinney are going to want new deals. But Joe Schoen is a cap wizard, and if he deems that Daniell Hunter is a fortune changer and a guy that changes the trajectory of this team, he's going to be able to factor him into the salary cap. Because the Giants, they need another edge rusher. And we've talked about this a lot as well. They have to become a better team at getting to the quarterback while they're not always blitzing. The Giants had the number one blitz rate in the NFL last year, and they were just middle of the pack in sacks. And that's a problem. You never want to blitz more than you have to. And I know the Giants are going to continue to do that with Wink Martindale. But if he can get home with just sending 4 or 5, the Giants will be better because of it. And if you could have Azeez Ojulari, Kayvon Thibodeaux, Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, and Daniell Hunter, that would be a pretty damn good front five for the New York Giants. So I want to ask this question before we get rolling any further into today's show. Should the Giants trade for Daniell Hunter? Should they make the move for the Minnesota Vikings pass rusher? This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, go down and type Y for yes and for no. And remember to make sure to subscribe to the channel, because we're going to continue to update you guys as this story and season and offseason continues to unfold. I think the Giants still have a couple of moves up their sleeves. We talked about Justin Houston, or they may wait to add a pass rusher, a veteran pass rusher, once teams go from 90 to 53 players on their roster. So make sure you're subscribed. Videos every day this summer. Hunter's one of the best in the business at what he does. He's had some injury concerns, missed all of 2020 due to a neck injury, played in just 7 games in 2021, but in the 17 games he played for the Minnesota Vikings last year, he had 10.5 sacks, 65 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and then in 2019, he had 14.5 sacks in 16 games, 70 tackles, and 15 tackles for loss. When he is healthy, like he is right now, he is one of the best in the business at getting after the quarterback. And the Giants, they have a good front four, but after the big names on screen of Thibodeaux, Leonard Williams, Dexter Lawrence, and Azeez Ojulari, there's really no NFL talent, I would say, at these spots, especially on the outside. I love A'Shawn Robinson. I love Raheem Nunez-Roches, and I like Jihad Ward. But when it comes to Tamon Fox, the UDFA, Ryder Anderson, the UDFA, and O'Shane Ximines, a guy that hasn't lived up to the hype since coming out of Old Dominion, You need somebody else at that spot because Ellerson Smith isn't going to be that guy. It's just going to come down to the price of what a trade would cost for Daniell Hunter to go from Minnesota to the New York Giants. You have to get better at this position, though. The Giants got burned so many times on the back end of their defense last year because they overcommitted, they overblitzed, and it left them where they were not as good as a secondary group last year as they are right now. It left them in bad coverages and too many one-on-ones. And if you want to play that style of football, that's fine, but you got to be able to get after the quarterback. And adding a guy like Hunter would make them one of the best in the business. This is what Speilberg of PFF also added. He said, I know that's all over the map, but he thinks that Daniell Hunter has proven he's a scheme-diverse player. As for a comp and what it might cost for in a trade, given the need for immediate extension, I'd say the Vikings fight hard for a second-rounder plus, but wouldn't be shocked if 2/3 is the best they can do. But guys 3-4 years older signed big deals last offseason. And I think he's right on the money here. I think maybe a second-round pick with a little bit of sugar sprinkled on top of it, or 2 third-round picks could get it done. And when you talk about the Minnesota Vikings, they are a very bad defense, and especially in the defensive backfield. They could use another slot corner. What about Darnay Holmes, who looks like a guy that's going to get beaten out at that slot position for the Giants? What about a second-round pick in this upcoming draft, or I guess in the 2024 NFL draft, in Darnay Holmes, and you get the edge rusher, Daniell Hunter? We'll ask you what you think about this trade, but first, what do you think about this? Imagine this being your front five for the New York Football Giants. This would be one of the scariest front fives and pass rushes in the NFL. And I think it could be good to give Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari kind of a handcuff type of guy to where they don't have to play all of these important snaps. And we know that both these guys throughout their NFL careers, dating back to college as well, they've had injury issues on top of that, especially Azeez Ojulari in the NFL. You could have Daniell Hunter as kind of that third guy. And it might be a lot to trade a second-round pick and Darnay Holmes for a third pass rusher, but at the end of the day, the Giants got to get back to what made them one of the best teams in the NFL, and that's the ability to put pressure on the opposing quarterbacks. So I want to ask you this question. Would you make this trade? Would you send that second overall pick in next year's draft, as well as the slot corner Darnay Holmes, for Daniell Hunter? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I want to hear from you down below. I'll give you my answer coming up in a second, but our awesome sponsor, Fanatics, has an awesome deal going on right now. Not one, but 2 New York Football Giants t-shirts for just $29.99. You can't get anything out in this world for $29.99, but you can get 2 t-shirts now. So go ahead and get yours. Mine are on the way. I'm ready to rock them during the NFL season, and you can get yours as well. You can get the battle red, you get the home blue, you get to rep the Giants gear all year long. Just go to this link, chatsports.com/Giants combo. That's chatsports.com/Giants combo. Look, if you can really just get Daniell Hunter for a second-round pick and Darnay Holmes, you have to make this move. Darnay Holmes might not even make this roster, and you're getting a top 6, 7, 8 pass rusher in the National Football League to add to a team that has some good beef up front, not a lot of depth, but a creative defensive coordinator and a wizard in Wink Martindale. It would be a great trade, and the Giants would become one of the top teams in the NFC. Let's get back to what makes the Giants great. Let's get back to New York Giants football. Let's dominate in the trenches. Let's get the front 4 and the front 5 on this defensive line back to where the Giants were when they won 2 Super Bowls in 5 different seasons. Winning in the trenches is where you win football games. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles last year. They had 5 players on their defense, on the defensive line, have 10 sacks or more. The Giants had 0. It's okay if you have a couple players at the same position. I promise you, the Eagles didn't have a problem with it when they were going to the Super Bowl. You win games in the trenches. Let's get back to doing that. So I want to ask this question before we bounce out of here. Yannick Ngakoue is a free agent, and we're starting to see some of these free agent pass rushers get signed. Frank Clark's been signed, as well as Leonard Floyd has been signed. So I want to think that Yannick Ngakoue's contract is coming up here pretty soon with the team. Would you rather sign Yannick, or would you rather trade for Daniell Hunter? Pick an edge and type their initials down below. As always, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate you guys for stopping by and hanging out with us here on Giants Now. Hope you guys have a good day. We'll see you later.